probably from high school, like they don't do it anymore, right? Do you guys wear like traditional clothes?
약간요.
Right? What do you call your traditional clothes, like men and women?
방송?
방종? What does that mean?
Is that typical traditional?
Just traditional clothes? Oh, okay. All right. And I like that red is like the auspicious color. Is that right?
Yeah.
That you wear on New Year's Eve? No? No? What color do you wear?
Never wear that, but most of the time is blue, purple, or red.
Okay. Purple or red? Okay. Koreans will wear like the traditional costume as well, like hanbok. And Han means Korean, bok means clothes, Korean clothes. Hanbok. And so oftentimes they wear something really colorful, and but like subtly colorful. And then children can often have these like rainbow colors on their arms, like sleeves. Yeah, on your sleeves. And you would wear a special hat if you're a girl.
It's a high hat.
No, it's kind of small. It's kind of small. It goes right here. And then, yeah. So hanbok typically has this thing that you tie, like you make a ribbon out of it. There's a special way of tying it for both men and women. The direction is different, the opposite. And then you would wear the special shoes that are kind of flat, but then they're
Is it boots or just shoes?
it depends on you, I guess. You know, you can wear boots, but oftentimes they wear something like this. So it sticks out over here, and it's kind of flat down there. It's some kind of heel. Yeah. So, yeah. And I wonder if you're familiar with this. What do you call it? Yes, dumpling soup. How do you say it in Chinese? Oh. Shui means water, right? Okay, right. Okay. I love baozi. Is there a shaozi too? What's the other kind of baozi? It's not this, but you know. Baozi. All right, I'm trying. All right. Yeah, I love that. I love it. And actually, on New Year's Eve, I and my local church, I used to be a pastor of a Chinese church, and we gather the night before, December 31st, and spend the night worshiping God, and also watching a show. You know, after worship, watching a show, and these ladies like put on their nice clothes and they did their dance, and you know, some people sang, and we watched the performance. It was not like Shinyon, of course, it's church, right? But I think traditionally there used to be like big celebrations in the cities, right? You know, like a dragon dance or something like that, right? You know, two dragons, like the dragon fights. Is that dragon fights? Or tiger fights? What is that? stratified. Like, so you would wear like people line up, and they actually wear this like, so multiple people lined up, and they cover themselves with this like dragon-shaped thing, right? And then they dance around, and then eventually they like get into a battle of some sort, right? So like, and then whoever is at the top, like, and everyone has to be in good teamwork, and you kind of try to top over the other person, right? Is that something that you're familiar with? Yeah, I've seen that before, with like songs going on and people clapping and shouting, right? So anyway, so I know a little bit about Chinese celebration, and so this is something that we made at church, December 31st, so from scratch, starting from scratch. So we had flowers, water, some other ingredients, and of course the inside is like pork and vegetables, and so we made the doughs and rolled it, and with a cup we make the shell, and then we put all the pork inside of it, and then we would use like served egg in order to seal it together, right? And then put it into the soup. So I made it starting from scratch. That was really interesting. So is it something that you eat only on New Year's Day, or do you sometimes eat it like in other times? So like this is kind of not only in New Year, but this is kind of your like, this is commonly part of your diet, right? Yeah, right? So, how do you say it again? Shades out. And what is it? Huh? Mango. Okay. Alright. You know what? I got it from a Korean website, so this is what we have for New Year. And by the way, we don't just eat it for New Year. I love it. I make it. My friends love it, so we sometimes have that, right? So there's rice cake. Interesting thing is, rice cake and dumplings are part of our diet, right? We eat it so commonly, so casually. It's like you can eat it every day and don't get sick of it, right? For the Jewish people, for the Israelites, there was something called lehem, which is bread. But it's a little bit of different bread. It's like flat bread, without the yeast for certain occasions, and I'm sure that they put in yeast for other times. Yeah. So with yeast or without yeast, you have bread, right? And so you make the dough, actually let it rise, and then put it into an oven, and it'll just bake. You take it out, let it cool down, and for your mealtime, you would commonly sit in a circle. They usually had like a large family, and they would commonly invite people over. So I think it's very similar to Chinese culture too. You guys are really hospitable too, right? So in my church, my students' parents will always invite me, and I get to see my students, and their parents would just share, like they would prepare a special meal for me, and I just loved all the dishes. Yeah. And so Chinese people are very hospitable. I think the Jewish people were very hospitable as well. So it's very commonly practiced that if you see people like a traveler just passing by, then you would call them, come and eat with us. And so they would come in, wash their hands, they would thank them, and then eat together. But the thing is, eating together has a very special meaning. So they would commonly sit in a big circle, and they would break bread. It's like large loaves. They would break it, pass it to the next person. They would take their portion and then pass it. And then commonly involved was also wine instead of water, because water is kind of a scarce commodity in Middle Eastern and certain parts of Africa, Middle Eastern countries and certain parts of Africa, because it's mostly desert, right? Some part of China is also desert, right? It's mostly desert, and so like you have like stir fry, like a lot of fried food, right? It's because they want to save water. When you fry food, then it would cook quickly, and you don't need water. That's why. So in the Middle Eastern countries, like that was partially true as well. So they needed to dig a well in order to get water and all that. So then they would just take bread, make wine because instead of water. Water is provided as well, but wine is easier to store. You can keep it for a long time. So yeah, commonly bread and wine. What is on their table? And so we're familiar with the rice cake soup. We're familiar with the dumpling soup. So think of bread as dumplings or rice cake. Yeah? And what do you drink as tea? Like oolong tea, green tea. So what? Along with your food, you could have water, but you could also have tea, right? Yeah. What kind of tea? Green tea.
Black tea or milk tea.
Oh, black tea, milk tea. Oh, good. Okay. So I have on that natural tea. In fact, I have it right here. Okay. So think of wine. If you read the word wine in the Bible, think of it as like green tea, oolong tea. So we're going to actually talk about the bread a lot today. You take out your books, your syllabus. Page 24. All right, people, I summarized a lot for you, so we already covered more than 1/3 of it. All right, good. 24, the 7 I statements. Okay, so what we're going to do, so Sharon, why don't you read, I am the bread of life.
God provides bread from heaven, called manna to be His blood. Celebrated every year after entering into the promised land during the Passover meal. Jesus pointed out in 6:26 to 27 that there are 2 kinds of food. Food for the body and food for the inner person, the spirit. Manna on the journey to the promised land in Moses' time. Non-laborers in the promised land in Jesus' time was satisfied. The power under which Jesus came to satisfy. What the people needed was not food but life. Food only sustains is all over the place.
So, so that's what C.S. Lewis said in The Weight of Glory, one of his books. Barry, can you please read the next two sentences for us? Those who trust.
Those who trust in him shall not find the spiritual Jesus the God and the Buddha. Now the fact and the
That's right. Thank you. So we talked about this miracle last time, right? Last time we talked about the fact that Jesus was accompanied by so many people, like just thousands of people, crowds, because he did so many miracles, and people were just intrigued, and they wanted to see more miracles. And so some of the followers were, they were interested in the truth and the way that Jesus was teaching. Most of them were more interested in the miracles. And so one of the major miracles that Jesus showed was that there were at least 5,000 men. And that means about 12,000 people altogether, counting women and children altogether, right? So, and they followed Jesus to listen to his teaching, and they didn't know how much time passed, and everyone was hungry at one point. And the thing is, Jesus actually knew what he was going to do, but he told his disciples, okay, hey, you guys feed these people. And the disciples were like perplexed. We don't have anything. I mean, we have a little bit of money. Maybe we can go buy something, but then in order to feed 12,000 people, it'll take like a half year's of wage. I can't do that. I can't make that happen. We don't have that money. And so what are we supposed to do? But at the perfect timing, what happens? A little boy comes up and he offers his lunchbox. Here's my lunchbox with 5 loaves of fish and 5 loaves and 2 fish, and I just give it to you. For a little boy, that's a big sacrifice. That's what he was supposed to eat. And Jesus receives it. He doesn't despise it. And the disciples probably are going like, all right, it's a major sacrifice, thank you, but that's not going to feed 12,000 exactly. And what does Jesus do? He blesses. He offers it up, offers the bread up and says, Father, we thank you for giving this bread for us. Now bless this food. And he breaks it, just like he normally does. When a bread is provided, the first person will break it, and then give it to the next person, and the next person will take their portion and pass it on. And so that's what happened, and the fish as well. But the thing is, it never shrank, like it never got depleted. People started taking their portion, and the bread was not decreasing. The fish was not going away. And so after they passed around everything, they could gather the leftover of 12 baskets, which is more than what they began with. And so people were all surprised. They're like, they probably saw, fish multiplying while they were passing around. They probably saw bread growing instead of shrinking. And they're like, whoa, we've never seen anything like this in our whole life. We've seen magicians and people with who can do sorcery, we've seen all kinds of things, but we've never seen this kind of miracle before. By the way, if you can feed 12,000 people instantaneously, then you know what? We will never go hungry if we follow him. So let's make him our king. And so people all gathered and tried to force him, like, become our king. We'll follow you. You can feed us, and you can actually do your miracles. Why don't you overthrow the Roman Empire who is oppressing us? And so people demanded him to be our king. But no one at that time, after feeding all these people, Jesus just disappeared. commonly disappear from the crowd because he did not come here to become an earthly king. He did not come for fame. He did not want to become a powerful person according to the world standards. Because if he becomes a king, earthly king, what he can do is so limited compared to what he could do by doing a sacrifice on the cross. It was like, what he was thinking was like foolishness to those who are perishing. Those who are kind of carnal, those people who are thinking about, like, they only know what's visible. When actually the most important thing, far more important than what we're seeing, I'm telling you the spiritual truth. Something happens in the spiritual realm first, although it's invisible, and many of us don't yet have access to the spiritual realm. Simply because we haven't been exposed to that. Science, well, although science does involve invisible realm too. What has not been discovered exists. The thing is, okay, let me not diverge too much, but I want to explain to you. Say 500 years ago. Yeah, of course, you and I didn't exist. 500 years ago, do you think oxygens exist? Oxygen molecules? You better believe it. If people live then, you know. And if you don't have any oxygen, what happens? You die, right? So it's by the fact that people live and continue to get married, have children, they sustain their life, means that there were oxygen molecules in the air. Just the adequate amount, not too much, not too little, right? And so we know for a fact that it existed, but then only in our lifetime the oxygen molecules were discovered. Just because they were not visible to our physical eyes, they needed special equipment in order to see that oxygen molecules existed, right? And so you can do all kinds of experiments. You can try, if there's no oxygen, even if you try, try to, use your match to light up your candle, it's not going to work. Simply because without oxygen, the fire can't happen, right? It's going to be put out very soon, even if it happens, right? So there are things that are not visible to our physical eyes, but they exist. And by the way, there are things that we cannot see with our physical eyes that cannot be really detected, even with the most like the cutting edge technology. It cannot be discovered. Does not mean that it exists, right? So that's the spiritual realm. And so from the beginning, there's a reason I talked about Adam and Eve, the first human beings, because they were the ones who had their spiritual eyes open. And they were in direct communication with God, like you and I can be talking. I talk about dumplings, and some of you are excited, like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to go for dumpling this afternoon, right? Just like you and I can talk about dumplings. Adam and Eve could easily talk with God, and they were very authentic. There was no shame, no guilt, no barrier. It's like friend to friend, heart to heart talk. Like your best friend that you can talk about anything and everything, and you know that the relationship is intact. You have those friends. I hope that you have those friends. You can talk about the most vulnerable side of yourself and feel safe. So that kind of relationship was available between God and Adam and Eve. But after Adam and Eve deliberately chose the path of sin, their spiritual eyes were shut down. Yeah. It's because they chose to follow and listen to Satan, the fallen angel, instead of God. So then, once you start following something else, then you can hear that voice very clearly, but unfortunately you can't hear God. And so their spiritual eyes and ears were dimmed. they had difficulty hearing God from that point on. And so then, so many generations after you and me, we're born with kind of deaf ears, deaf spiritual ears, and we're kind of blind. I didn't know that before I came to know it. Before my spiritual eyes were open, I was not, and I'm not saying that, oh, therefore I'm superior. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just letting you know that we're born blind and deaf spiritually. So only our physical eyes and physical ears are open, and therefore we rely on them, and we live as if this is everything. So people say seeing is believing. Have you heard of that? Seeing is believing. What we're missing out because our spiritual eyes and ears are, shut down. We don't understand the fact. The fact that that believing is seeing. What does that mean? Believing is seeing. You got to believe, and then you'll be able to see. I can't come up with a good illustration. Vincent. All right. So who's your mom? You have a mom, right? She raised you. How do you know that she's your mom? Did you check your DNAs? Like, did you go to a hospital and check? No? Like, did you go to a government office and see your legal records? No? Why? Why not? I mean, you should check. You don't know she's your mom, right? Just because she raised you, I mean, you never know, right? Are you sure that she's your mom? Yeah? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that my mom is my mom. PJ, you have a mom?
Yeah.
You gotta believe it, right? You're born, so somebody had you. All right. Is your mom your mom?
Now I'm thinking about it. Yes, it is.
So actually, you need to call your mom and ask her this question after so many years, and she'll be shocked if you do that. Don't do it. Mom, are you sure you're my mom? I haven't done the DNA check. I haven't done the research. I haven't done the laboratory check. I need to check. All of a sudden, I'm doubtful if you're really my mom.
Honestly, I wouldn't care.
You don't care. Why?
Because even she's not, I still call her my mom because she raised me.
She raised you. She loves you.
Yes.
Did she love you? Your mom loves you. I mean, they're imperfect. Let me tell you. My mom is very imperfect. Angry. So, anyway, I wanted to search this on her, my mom. But I understand if you didn't have perfect mom, yeah. But to some degree, she loves you, right? She loves you more than your friends, right? Your friends don't love you as much, right? Yeah, this is how it gets messy because some of us come from dysfunctional families. It really blurs our picture. However, anyway, in general, our parents love us. And you never checked. But you believe that your mom is your mom. Your siblings are your siblings. Just because you have some kind of facial features, I kind of look like my mom. I kind of look like my dad. Oh, but then, sometimes friends look alike too. You never checked it, but you believed. And when you started to just believe when you were little, what we see here is just a shadow. So during the summertime, well, anytime during the day, if you park your car, you see that shadow, right? Oftentimes, well, today it's really cold, but when it's hot, you try to find a shade in California, right? And so you find a tree. Why? Because the tree has a shade, right? Without looking at the tree, by the shade, you can tell that there's a tree. You can kind of tell what kind of leaves it has, how big it is, and things like that. Well, of course, it increases and decreases depending on the degree of the sunlight. Yeah, sometimes it shrinks down, other times it's it looks huge. So it can be distorting. You have a distorted perspective sometimes, but by the shadow, you can kind of tell the real thing is there. this physical realm that we're seeing with our eyes and hear with our ears is like a shadow. So we can kind of tell there are clues about the spiritual realm. However, it can look distorted, and sometimes we may not even see, depending on how occupied we are. Our mind is occupied by something else. Yeah. So the real thing, the real tree, is like the spiritual realm. The shadow is like a physical realm. Yeah. All right, back to bread of life. Jesus said, "I'm the bread of life." Wow, what does that mean? No leader has referred to himself as bread. It's like Jesus saying, "I'm the dumpling of life. I'm the rice of life. I'm the rice cake of life." You know, wow, what does that mean? So we kind of have to trace back to the history where the bread happened. I'm going to show you this short video to give you some kind of background. Is it even on? Okay, hold on. Okay, so this person is Jesus.
Ye seek me not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but labor for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him hath God the Father seized.
What shall we do that we might work the works of God?
This is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent.
What sign shewest thou then, that we may see and believe thee? What dost thou work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert. As it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven. But my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world.
Lord, evermore give us this bread.
I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger. He that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the Father's will which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son, and believeth on him, may have everlasting life.
So to give you a little more background, so this is referring to, John chapter 6, and he said, our ancestors, referring to the Israelites' ancestors, when they were in the wilderness, when they were in the desert, God provided manna Manna means food in Hebrew. So God gave you food from heaven. That was so unreal. There is a historical record, right, called the Bible. The Israelites did not have anything in the desert. Okay, so I think I talked about Moses taking the Israelites out of Egypt, where they were enslaved. They were in slavery for 400 years. And finally, Moses, who was raised in the palace, who had fled to the Midianites' land, he was called by God to come back and get the people out of Egypt. And that's called Exodus. And so he led people out of slavery, so now they are free people. However, well, they probably had some kind of possessions like donkeys, mules, gold and silver that they actually kept, they brought them. But the thing is, food, the last thing that they ate was the lamb chop. And after that, you can't keep it for too long, can you? Without the refrigerator, and of course, when you're walking and traveling, you can't take refrigerators with you. And so, even if they had some kind of storing system, they did not have that. So food goes bad very quickly, and you can just eat it only so much. And so you run out of food on your travel. And so they ran out of food, and so they were extremely worried. We're gonna starve to death in this desert. Look at it. There's no water, there's no food, there's no animals or vegetation, there's nothing in the desert. But God gave them manna from heaven. So that manna looked like this. They look like coriander seed, white, and they're like wafers made with honey. And it's like Chinese cookies. I don't know. So it was sort of sweet. It looked like, it light. And actually they came on the ground like dews. Like the morning dews. When you go out in the morning, there are dews on the grass. It's rain like this. And then in the morning, they get up. When they go out, the sun is up and it gets dried. Then it would look like wafers. And then they would gather the wafers into their pockets or their whatever, the bags, collect them. By the way, they were told by God to collect only 1 day worth for your family, for your entire family. And some people, because they were concerned about their survival, they gathered more and tried to keep up. But you know what? They ate their portion, and then there were leftovers because they gathered more than they were supposed to, right? Overnight, it was all like, it went bad, and there were like bugs. So they couldn't eat it anymore. So God told them, I told you to gather only the right amount for 1 day, because next day I'll provide you fresh new manna. And the day after, you will never go hungry. You have to trust me. So God wanted them to trust him, and it was like a trust training. Have you ever done trust fall before? Do you know what a trust fall is? Vincent, what is that?
You just stand over there and laying down someone and catching you.
Oh yeah, you've done it before. Where did you do it?
Well, high school, I forgot.
Oh, high school. So you had to trust your friends
Right.
that they would surely catch you and not drop you on the ground. Because if they drop you, you'll have a head injury or like broken legs or something. So yeah, it's kind of scary that you stand on a chair and then you don't see what they're doing. If they're doing this, you don't know. But you just fall just by the blind trust. And sometimes they drop you. I've seen people being dropped, yeah? And so they're not perfect, but we do those activities in order to build teamwork, in order to increase our trust for each other. But that's kind of random. I'm not sure if they're really trustworthy. But God is trustworthy. He never makes mistakes. He never drops you. No. there were times when I was hurt, although God exists. It's because it's not because he dropped me. No, I thought he dropped me, but it was so hurtful that I thought he dropped me. But it's not true. He's still holding me. He let me go through some hardships so that I would come out refined, stronger, purer, more trusting, more capable, and all that. It was part of the training. Yeah. But he did not drop me. He doesn't drop anybody who comes to him. So we just saw in the movie, that's like an accurate description of what the Bible tells. Whoever comes to me, I never shun you. Like I never cast you out. I welcome anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of background you have, what kind of education, what kind of mindset you have. As long as you really want to meet me, I welcome you. And so that also means once I welcome you in, I will never drop you. Unless you walk away. If you walk away, because God gave us free will. He never forces anybody. He's a person. So unless he's welcomed, he doesn't do anything. And so he never like forces and twists your arm or like grab you by the collars. No, he doesn't do that. And so if you walk away, then he'll let you walk away, unfortunately. And so if you walk away, then you might get dropped. But if you don't walk away, he will always hold you. He will always protect you. He will always guide you. And that has been true in my life, in the believers' lives. So basically what happened in the wilderness is that don't collect anymore, like except on the 6th day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, you gather only 1 day worth. On Saturday though, you gather, yeah, that's not true. Okay, so it was counted differently, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so because it was counted, their Sabbath day was Saturday. But anyway, it doesn't matter. On Saturday, you gather 2 days worth, because on Sunday, I want you to rest. Don't even gather your manna. Rest. I want to give you full rest. How many of you need rest right now? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we do need rest, and we're designed to work and rest. And so if we don't take a break, then we will not be as effective, and we'll be counter-effective one day. Yeah. And so we do want to set aside time, and it takes trust. It takes trust that we're going to be fine without having to work 7 days a week. That's a major challenge. One of the major challenges of modern life. Whether you're mom, working mom, whether you're just working professionals, it's kind of hard to go against what's coming at us. Like, oh, whoa, this is overwhelming. Like, I got to get it done, and I have to meet the deadlines. And so sometimes it's a challenge, but we're designed to take a rest at least 1 day out of the week. So anyway, so God told the Israelites, only on Saturday you gather 2 days worth, and I will let it so that it won't get spoiled. So that's what happened. The reason God gave manna from heaven, instead of letting them plant their vegetables or whatever, in the first place, the reason they were in the wilderness where there's nothing is because God wanted to train them to depend on him. Like, your life depends on me. So then did their lives not depend on God before then? When they were living in Egypt or when they were living somewhere else? Actually, their lives depended on God. Do you know that the fact that we're breathing, that we're living, we take it for granted sometimes, right? We don't breathe and say, oh, thank you, my creator, for giving me a breath. We don't say that, right? And we don't drive our cars and say, oh, I thank you, my creator. You are my protector, and you did not let me go into an accident today. We don't say that because we take things for granted. I'm sometimes like that too. But you know what? From the get-go, life is a gift. And you were born, medical science and science in general will say, because they only talk about the mechanisms, they only talk about how mechanically it happens, but they never tell you why or who is behind this. Yeah, they will tell you. They can't tell you. So medical science will say, oh, your parents got married, they, engaged in whatever, and then you were born as a result. But you know what? You're more than that. Somebody had a design and plan all along. Had a plan, very, very special plan. And so if we're missing out if we don't realize that plan, we want to know that plan. Because each of you were created uniquely by divine plan. I did not know this when I was going to college. I thought I was one of the little dots in the statistics. Millions, 1 out of million, 1 out of billions. That's what I used to think of myself. Okay, but no. And I thought of myself as a chance too. I was born by chance because my parents didn't plan on me, right? But when I actually met God, and I'm not being emotional and I'm not trying to make up stories, no, this is what I experienced, okay? When I met God, He started telling me, He started to bombard me with the messages. I planned you all along. Read Psalm 139. That's my word for you. I designed you. I planned on you. I have a special plan for you. I want you to live that plan out by relying on me. And I want you to fulfill my dreams for you. And He's saying to each one of you right now, I have a dream for each one of you. And it's more than survival. I know that you have to work. I have to work too. We have to take care of ourselves, and some of you have a family to feed. And in the future, you might have families to feed. Yeah, it's a big responsibility. I understand that. And oftentimes that occupies most of our energy. That takes up most of our focus. It shouldn't be. God is not ignorant. The reason He came to this earth in a human form is to communicate to us. I understand. I go hungry and thirsty. I got responsibilities. I have to work. However, I want you to know that in the midst of you doing all these things, daily routines, I want you to know that I'm the one who designed you. I'm the one who provides for you. Only if you come back into the relationship with me, then I will provide for all your needs. And you will have to work. Yeah, because we're living in an imperfect world. We have to work. However, work will not be so toilsome and so tiring. I have a way, I'm the Lord of time. I have control over time. I have control over resources. I have control over everything that happens in your life. And even if you face major challenges in your life, such as sicknesses, loss, and problems, I will be always there to consult you, to help you, to send you people, to send you resources and wisdom that it takes, that other people cannot think of. And so, from the beginning, whether we realized or not, and there was a time when I didn't know, my life depended on Him. I thought my life depended on my parents, and it's partially true, because when you're a baby, somebody has to take care of you. Yeah? Somebody has to feed you, wash you, and help you walk. That's true. But you know what? They're life guardians. Good guardians. Because the fact that you're sitting here, you guys are all adults. Somebody raised you, put a lot of effort into it. It takes a lot of effort to raise a human being, right? I've worked in a daycare center in charge of 8 kids, 8 children, 8 babies. There's not 1 minute that you can when you can sit down. So I had another partner, another coworker, but it was just crazy. 8 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day. Not 1 minute I could sit down unless I had a break time and I had to go away because these babies are demanding. You have to feed them, change diapers, wash them, play, put them to sleep. Yeah,
It's just non-stop, and somebody put a non-stop effort so that you would arrive at this point, so we should be all thankful. I'm thankful for my parents. However, there was a sovereign hand behind this. From the get-go, our life came from Him. And we do not have control. Our parents did not have control over when we would be born and how we would be born. Nobody has control over it. Even I don't have control over when I'm going to die and how I'm going to die. This is truth for all of you. It's because we're in the sovereign hands of God, because our life depends on Him. So there were times when I was major sick. There were times when I went to a funeral. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a funeral. And that's when it kind of hits me. You know what? Life is but a breath. Somebody lets you go, and we die. There was no sign. For some people, yes, they become ill and spend a few years just being on bed, and people know that he's dying. But there are times when it just happens. Nobody predicted it, and you yourself didn't know it was coming. So our life really depends on God. It depends on somebody. But we don't realize that we came from God. And so God is telling us, and He wanted to tell the Israelites. And by the way, when He tells the Israelites, He's speaking to you and me as well. Yeah, through that example. Because we all came from God, and God is waiting for all of us. And so, daily, you have to understand that I'm the sustainer of your life. So when we're little, right, our moms go around and she makes, I don't know, with milk powder, she makes something, and then she gives it to us, right? So if our moms didn't do that job, we would have died. So we learned that we needed to depend on our mom. God wanted to teach the Israelites and you and me through that example by giving the manna every day. Just want to remind them, your life depends on me. And by the way, I'll be faithful. I am faithful. Don't doubt me. Don't gather 2 days worth unless it's Saturday. You just trust me because I'm trustworthy. And He's saying, well, you need manna every day. So if you are lazy and you don't go out one day and you don't gather, you'll starve. You can go only so far. If we keep skipping meals, if we starve for 40 days, what happens? What happens? You die. Yeah. So bread is directly connected to our life instead of life source, right? And so when Jesus says, I am the bread of life, what does that mean? Just like if we can't skip meals too much. If we skip meals, even for 1 week, we're going to just be weakened and we'll get sick. Yeah, we'll end up in a hospital. So like that, we need to turn to God every day. We need to meet Him every day. The food is, by the way, it's the most intimate experience. So what we wear is pretty intimate, right? It's right on your skin. Yeah. And for ladies, your makeup is pretty intimate. It's like right on your face. And the place that you're living in, the room, the house, it's pretty intimate, right? Because you're always there. And your bed is probably very intimate. However, the food is like, it goes into your mouth and inside your body, right? Yeah. And whatever you eat, after the digestion, it is spread out to all parts of your body. Yeah. So your blood cells carry the oxygens and the nutrition, goes everywhere, even to your fingertips, to your toes, to your brains, to your eyes. It goes everywhere to nourish your body. So that's why your fingernails grow. That's why your mustaches grow. You have to shave it. That's why your hair grows. You can see the effect of taking the bread or taking the dumplings, right? Just like that, God is the one that we have to intimately meet, just like we're eating Him, as if we're eating Him. We have to take Him in, and experience Him. Allow Him to nourish our soul, nourish our spirit, so that we will not only survive, but we want to thrive. We want to prosper. So if we want to prosper, then we don't barely meet Him, but we have to really wide open. We have to really welcome and give our whole heart to Him. It doesn't mean that you engage in religious activities all day long. I'm not saying that. But there are ways, if you're open to that relationship, once the relationship is established, the covenant love relationship is established between God and you, by you welcoming Him, then the Holy Spirit starts teaching us. This is how you meet God. This is what you need to do. Through the word, prayer, and praise mainly. Those are like the main ways to meet God. Yeah. There are ways to meet people, right? Sharon, how do you meet your mom and dad? Do you ever go back to Hong Kong? Maybe in the future? Yeah. Dominic, how do you meet your parents? Or your old friends? Okay. It's been a while? Do you ever FaceTime?
Yeah, we. Yeah.
FaceTime?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Jackie. Forgot your name. You're Jackie, right? Alright, never mind. TJ, how do you connect with your best friends? Do you have best friends?
No.
How do you meet your mom and dad? Are they living with you?
No, they're in China.
Okay, so then how do you meet with them? Do you visit them?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Yeah. So what do you do when you meet them?
Go eat.
Go and eat. Yeah. Yeah, eating is a big part of fellowship. It's like, that's an expression like we're close. Unless you're close, you won't eat together, right? And especially if your mom prepares meals for you, it's like it's her love and care. And sometimes maybe you can cook, maybe your dad can cook, but whoever cooks, it's like an act of love. Yeah, I care about you. I love feeding you. Yeah. And then what else do you do aside from eating? Eating is a big deal, but what else do you do? Do you go someplace? Like, do you travel together?
My parents?
Yeah, or yeah, sure. You know, okay.
We just stay on. Watch TV and talk maybe.
Oh, do you gather as relatives? Like, do you have a big family?
Yeah, but we're not that close.
Oh, you're right. Okay. So I've seen big families. They come to your house. You eat together. Maybe you play chess. I don't know. You talk about the common thing. About somebody in your family, somebody important. Yeah? You talk about family tradition. Do you ever do that? You talk about family history. You ever do that? Anyway, you have common topics. Yeah? You're laughing because I know that several of you have not been in touch with your family for a while because of whatever reason. Yeah. So I understand. Been there, done that. When you gather, there are ways to connect. Like, so when you go back to your family, your mom and dad, there's like a way to connect with them. Yeah, there's a way to spend time with them. It's like, kind of, this is what we do as a family kind of thing. Or this is what we do as very, very close friends who grew up together in one town. This is what we do. Maybe in the winter, like we go skating together in the lake or something, on the lake or something like that. Or, should I talk about this? It's kind of, I was little, so don't hold me responsible for that right now. My brother and I had a way of connecting. So he's a boy, he's 6 years older, he's much bigger, he used to be very tall. I was very little, so like we had not much in common. What do you do with a little sister, right? But we had something to do together. We would, during the winter time, and I do not suggest that you do this by any means, because that's what we did when we were little. So we would go up on the top of the roof of the apartment when it snowed really heavily. And there's no footsteps. And it's like, whoa, white, and it's like, whoa. My feet are sinking, we were wearing boots and everything. Wow, Opa, look at all the snow. Let's make a snowman. But I was so little, like I needed help, even to pack and start rolling. So he would pack it for me, and then I would start rolling. And then it becomes like too big, really heavy. Like, I'm like, it's not moving anymore. Opa, help me. And he pushes it, and it becomes bigger and bigger. So it becomes the base. And then we pack it again. Oh, I need his help to lift it up and put it on top. And then I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. Let's drop it. So from the top of a fifth floor. I would suggest that there's a yard right underneath. Yard and trees and everything. And thank goodness it was dark and nobody was there, but don't do this, okay? So I would suggest, Opa, drop it for me. And so he would just lift up the top portion. I don't know. He was bigger and wiser. I don't know why he listened to me, but because I was begging and he wanted to make me happy, so he lifted up this heavy thing. I would put my hands and we would drop it together. There's a noise that echoes through the air. It's like an atomic bomb. So, it was so enjoyable. That's how I connected with my brother. And we would come out down. Our dad is a very sensitive person. He sees something on our face. It's like, what did you guys do? We're like, we made a snowman. And we look kind of uncomfortable because we kind of feel that we did something wrong, right? The branches break off from the trees and it kills all the whatever underneath, right? Thank goodness there was no person. And so after making a snowman, what did you do? Like, I don't know why he wasn't even watching. He asked us, he would interrogate us, and I would just finally say, yeah, we dropped it. And he's like, what? Do you know that a person can pass by and you can kill a person? You can injure a person? Like, why did you do that? And he would just yell at us. And we're like, oh, sorry, Dad, we will do it again. Okay. Well, I did it again a few times. It was so, I had that feeling. So anyway, long story short, you have a way of connecting with a person in your special ways, right? God is saying the special way that you can connect with me is by turning to the Word. Spend time with me. It says spend time with me. You don't have to spend hours and hours reading the Word. That's not what I'm suggesting. But even just a few minutes a day.